shoot. Oh, fired up footballers. Accidentally started up the stream a little early. We'll fire it up. I'll wait until I get. I think I did something wrong. Boom. We'll get this going. All right. Little awkward start to the show. Hello, hello. Hello, hey guys. I already started live accidentally.
No problem.
Sorry about that. Did not intend to do that. But welcome to the show. We have Chicago Fire Soccer Talk and Jiggly joining us.
Hi, welcome me.
What's going on, guys?
Going good.
All right, let me get this audio sorted. So, Jiggly, what's going on, man? How's the game?
I was there. There's a lot of times that I think I've realized that I have to rewatch games after I'm there because there's a lot of things that I either don't see or things that I see at the game that I don't see afterwards, or just generally not paying attention. So there are some things that I saw there that I will like to get into, but otherwise there's a lot of stuff that I've got my VOD of the game pulled up on my iPad right now, ready to check.
Sure, we'll get into that. And Chicago Fire Soccer Talk. Introduce yourself. Welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I was at the game yesterday. Pretty discouraging. Third game in. I know it's still early, but good sign of fight from the second half. I mean, I kind of mentioned on Twitter yesterday, some teams of the past, minus our 2017 anomaly year, if you will, may have let that game become 4, 5, 6 nothing, but definitely a lot of discouraging signs as well.
Yeah, on both sides of the coin, I definitely agree. There's good stuff that I saw, and there's a lot of bad stuff I saw. We'll get into it. Let's just have like our initial impressions of the game right now, and then we'll kind of go into the game by like in a quarter by quarter basis, kind of like a little experimentation with the with our template here. But I figured like we could kind of throw out like our initial thoughts, and then we could kind of go in like a first quarter, second quarter, first 25 minutes, second 25 minutes basis, and rip through the game real quick.
Sure.
And any comments on YouTube? We are paying attention. If you guys want to chime in or ask a question or whatnot, whatever. As always, toss us a like for and follow Spitting Fire YouTube. We're available on Stitcher and iTunes as well. Let's go. All right. So initial thoughts for the game. Third game in, right, of the season, and Pano is still looking like maybe a first or second year coach with his decisions. And I wondered if his decision to start the game in the 4-2-3-1 rather than to start off in a 3-5-2 may have cost them points.
I think that first off, we're going into this game calling it a must-win. Everyone's calling it a must-win going into this game. We were unable to get it done against Orlando and against LA, even when we had the upper hand. I don't know why anybody would expect us to win against Seattle in the form that they're in currently, and especially with the fact that we know exactly what our weakness is, which is on the wings, fullbacks. We don't exactly have good fullbacks, and the fact that they have the best wing play in MLS right now, I don't know why we expected to win this.
Yeah, I'll bounce off of that for sure. I definitely agree with you. Seattle, definitely the best of the three teams we played so far. Normally, I know in the past they kind of have a rough start to their year, and they don't really find their form till mid-season. But this year, man, these guys, their front four, they're fantastic. And with Jordan Morris coming back in the form that he's in, definitely deserves a shout for comeback player of the year this year. I had higher expectations going into the Galaxy and Orlando games than I did for Seattle. We definitely let it get away from us, especially those first 15, 20 minutes. But maybe managing better from Pano's side could have allowed us to maybe salvage a point from this game. But I think Seattle's just a better team on the day and overall.
I mean, on offense, those first 8 minutes were flying. They came out. They exposed the outside backs for the Fire. Namely, they exposed Marcelo and Campos. I feel like at certain times, really in the first minute and 30 seconds of the match, they were already exposed, and we saw that get rung real quickly, and all of a sudden at the 7th or 8th minute they're scoring. All right, yeah, let's kind of dig into the game now by quarter basis. So we're in the first quarter here, the first 25 minutes. And so, yeah, Seattle's basically owning, and all of a sudden Jordan Morris just tears apart Nico Hasler. Nico Hasler, of course, playing out of position at the left back, and Pano came out after the match and apologized, saying that, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
I have something to say about that.
Yeah, go on.
No, I'm waiting until we're done for me to talk about that, because this is something that's like very much about the season in general.
All right, so write that down, and all right, Don. Jiggly's got a point. And
Jiggly has a point.
And we'll try and refer back to that. So they scored 7 minutes, and I thought this ball coming across the front of the net, Usted might have been able to get a hand on it. I thought that Marcelo might have been able to stick a foot in front of it, but of course he doesn't want to tap it into his own net for an own goal, and Rodriguez does. So what'd you guys think of that whole interlude?
Yeah, that play, I mean, I know there was I can't remember who turned it over in the middle there, but that play was a
That was Dax.
It might have been Dax, yeah.
No, it wasn't. I'm looking at a different thing.
It might have been Dax or Basti or somebody, but then, I mean, Hassler gets isolated on that left back position. He looks like he's caught in quicksand on the 1v1 defending there. And if you keep a look on the goal again, Campos is nowhere to be found. I know Marcelo is there and he probably should be tighter, but Campos is barely in our defensive third.
Campos is barely in the frame.
Yeah. So that's a concern. He's definitely looked better on the right side than who we've had on the left side, minus Edwards so far. But on that play, I mean, as a right back, I know that's not his natural position, but he's nowhere to be found.
In a 4-man back line, I don't think that Diego Campos is the answer. But in a 5-man back line, I think that playing him as a reserve behind Frankowski might be the option going forward there. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, he's not a right back. I've said many times he is a forward. He is not a right back. He can possibly be converted into a wing back. That is something that is possible. This is just a show of he doesn't have the defensive positioning skills of somebody who is a defender. He is an attacker. He is going to be further up on the pitch. And with how the Fire want to play with him, he's not going to be doing well in a 4-man back line. He needs to have that 5-man back line to have support from the center backs.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. I've kind of noticed this against especially the Galaxy as well. He doesn't look fit, Campos. Mm-hmm. He was gassed in about the 65th minute against the Galaxy, and I think they ended up switching him out in about the 70th minute.
Right back is a super demanding position.
Right. But yeah, I don't know if this is a preseason issue with the fitness of the entire team, but Campos he did not look like he was fit to go the full 90 at all in any of these games.
We'll get into it, but I definitely feel like we might have to start looking at these first slate of games as preseason. Actually, I saw Hot Ham and Cheese tweet out about it that he didn't want to look at it like preseason, and I agree. But like that's kind of where we're at.
We're still in preseason for 2018.
Yeah,
I mean it's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're still in preseason for 2018 season, really, if you really think about it. If we could just throw 2018 season. But so real quickly here, so the first 15 minutes, after the goal, the Fire settled down a little bit, but they got a little too aggressive, and all of a sudden, J-Mo Smooth burns Hasler again, burns the center backs, burns Marcelo and Johan on an incredible little through ball, and I think chips the goalkeeper, right?
Yeah. It was a great shot, and I'm looking at it right now, but the play started with Campos trying to get the ball away, not able to win the ball at all. He gets some help from, I believe that's Frankowski over there. Frankowski isn't able to control it very well, and Seattle just comes away with it and gets free since Campos is pulled up front. Mm-hmm. There's nobody there on that side, and he's able to just cross that ball in.
Yeah, going off of that, At first, at the game, it looked like it was Marcelo and Kappelhoff that got burned by Morris there on that run. But then at second glance, it ended up being, I think, Kappelhoff and Hassler that got ran through on that run. But what a ball from Ladero.
Yeah, really. That was a great ball.
Tip your hat to the man. I mean, that is what I hope Gaitan can provide for us when he comes. Little balls like that not a lot of people can play. And if they do, oftentimes unsuccessful. That's one of the better goals I've seen an opposing team score against the Fire, at least at home.
That wasn't the only one, because right around the 19th minute, 20th minute mark, really the Fire defense for the first 20 minutes of the match was in it deep, and that's why the score was 0-2 by the 15th minute mark. But come the 20th minute mark, we saw another incredible Lodero through ball. I wrote wholly dangerous through ball, beats the whole Fire back line. Marcelo and Campos wasted, no pressure on the passer though, and then luckily the Fire are able to recover and the ball goes out for a goal kick. But there could have been 3-0 by the 20th minute mark.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And then finally, about the last 5 minutes of that quarter, I saw some much better play from the Fire. Nico with a good, decent shot. Sapong and Nico are combined for a chance right there at the end of the first quarter, basically. The last 5 minutes of the first 25.
One of my keys for the Fire right now is that we are good at getting early starts. We're good at getting right off and working at it. And
not this game.
At some point, you've got to start converting on that. No, we looked so. LA, we looked good for the first half.
Mm-hmm.
Then against Orlando, we looked good for the first 20 minutes or so. We looked good for the first maybe 5 minutes. We've slowly diminished our ability to look good at the start, and we've wasted all of it.
Yeah, and then going into this second quarter of the game, I thought they looked better between the 25-minute mark to the 45 for halftime. They seemed to have a lot more of the ball.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, they seemed like they had more possession overall throughout the 90 minutes. But that second half of the first half there, 25 to 45 minutes, they did look better. They weren't necessarily... I think Frankowski actually forced a big save out of Fry in that 30th minute mark. But they started to get a few shots on goal, a few looks, and definitely was good to see them bounce back after giving up 2 early ones.
They started flowing. I got great read by Schweini at the 30-minute mark just to step up and intercept the ball. Also, the Fire were looking a lot better. Basically, from the 26-minute mark to the 33-minute mark, I saw almost their best play. And then right at the 34-minute mark, everything changes because Raheem Sterling is brought into the match, and you see him flashing to the lads. He goes,
Raheem Edwards.
Raheem Edwards goes 3-5-2, 3-5-2. So they switched to 3-5-2 at the 34-minute mark. And here's the thing about it: they had their best play, I thought, right before it, but. Beyond that, I think that moving into the 3-5-2 is the way forward, and I really feel like it puts all of their players in the best positions, their best starting 11 and the best positions to win. Raheem as a left back, maybe Frankowski as a right back, and then when you do get Gaitan coming in, you could slip him and Katai in as those attacking forwards, along with either Sapong or Nikolic at the top. Have Georgie drop back. There's so much more. So it's a better starting 11, I think, with the 3-5-2. Although they're going to have to get used to it, and not starting the game in that formation might have bit them in the butt in this game.
Yeah, there's something to be said. When I first saw the lineup, I thought, because we were talking to Danny earlier this week, and he said that he did not expect
Danny Santa Romita.
Yes, Santa Romita, and he said he didn't expect Raheem Edwards to be coming into this game. He didn't expect him to be playing in this game, and I've been saying since the beginning of the season, I want to see Raheem Edwards at left back. Apparently, he wasn't ready for those first 2 games.
Left wing back. I think he's a left wing back.
What?
Kind of like Campos. I don't think Edwards is like a flat 4 left back. I think he's a 5-man backline wing back. That's definitely his best position.
He is a wing back. He played wing back with Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
So I want him there because I wanted to have that sort of formation, to have that 5-man backline, because as I've said many times before, 5-man backline slays in MLS. Every single good team in MLS has a 5-man backline.
Toronto when they won.
Yeah, Toronto when they won. We've got Atlanta United. They have a 5-man backline. Sporting KC, New York Red Bulls, they all have 5-man backlines, and no one can solve it in MLS for some reason. So we should be trying to find a way to make it work for us. And if we want to have a good left back, we need to put out Raheem Edwards. Raheem Edwards is going to be that left wing back. He is a winger, and he can also play back there. He's got experience there, and it's really confusing to me why we didn't play him. And of course, there was after the game, he said he wasn't 100% fit. But if he's fit enough to play starting at the 35th minute, I think you start him and then see where you are later on in the game when you think he's getting tired. I mean, if we start him, we may not be losing at that point, and we will be able to take him off and put on somebody like Hassler. Yeah, it may not be that good, but we feel a bit more comfortable. So start him instead of waiting.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, he had a knock, you said. Yeah.
Yeah, he had a knock, and I think that's why you start him first and then wait until later in the game to take him off if he needs to come off. You don't want to put yourself into a bad position when you start off.
Mm-hmm. That's what we saw. Fire talk?
Yeah, I've got some thoughts on. I think formationally wise, I think the Fire got one of two options, either like we've talked about, the 3-5-2 or the 4-2-3-1. And I've had some thoughts. I don't know if we want to touch on this later on or do it now. But
any comments in the chat?
What's that?
I was just asking any comments in the chat of what they think.
I'm thinking pros and cons of the 4-2-3-1 and the 3-5-2. I think a lot of it will depend on the personnel that we have going forward. I think if Nelson is able to bring in a natural left back and maybe a natural right back, I think the 4-2-3-1 might be the call. But if we do not, then it's got to be the 3-5-2, and Edwards has got to hold down that left side and maybe Frankowski on the right side, and really try to mirror the system that, like Jiggly said, the Atlanta United's play and Toronto played when they won MLS Cups, because it's definitely proved effective in MLS.
There's the 4-1-4-1-4. The 4-1-4-1's been floated by Jorge. Who would be the central pivot in that? Would it be Dax or Basti? Because at different times during the game, I saw Basti. Well, when they switched to the 3-man back line, Basti all of a sudden he did one of two things on that back line. He started being he wasn't the central pivot, which I talked about in my last episode, where I didn't think he should be. I think he'll be more offensively involved if he was more so either shading to the right center back or to the left center back role. And I actually saw that for the first half. He played right center back, and then Marcelo would shift to the central center back role. And then later, when the ball was on the other side, he did switch to left center back, in which Johan Kappelhoff switched to the center back role. So I like that. And then in the second half, I saw a lot more of him playing like in a stopper role ahead of them. So saw two different things there from Basti as far as the back line. But who would be that central pivot in the 4-1-4-1 if we did that? I do think the 3-5-2, though, is probably the best way going forward. I did like what I saw from the 4-2-3-1, like we were saying. These are all solid formations, but it's really about maximizing all of the best talent you could put out there, and that's why Atlanta is playing the 3-man back line. That's why Toronto's playing the 3-man back line, because they have such attacking talent that it's best for them to get that attacking talent out there and just overwhelm the other side.
Yeah, I think if they do the 3-5-2. With the current squad that they have right now, I think if they go with the 3-5-2, I think unfortunately Basti has to move back to that center back role with Marcelo and Kappelhoff. Then you've got Edwards on that left side, which I think a wing back role as opposed to just an outside midfielder in a 4-4-2 or a 3-5-2. A wing back role is definitely his best position. Mm-hmm. And then the right side is a question mark. And then hopefully you can make it a Dax, Georgie, and Gaitan midfield in the middle there. And then a Nico and Sapong up top. But at the same time, then it creates a much tougher decision-making process for Pano in terms of who he keeps out of the squad. Katai can't play that wing-back position. Mm-mm. He doesn't know how to defend. Do you play him up top, kind of underneath Nikolic or Sapong? I don't know. That's a lot of questions that have to be asked there going forward.
I'm going to try to pull something up and try to figure this out myself with that, because I think that it's possible to have Frankowski on that wing on that wingback side and still have Gaitan playing somewhere.
Absolutely, I agree.
I'm going to start writing things.
I think Frankowski is your right wing back, and then and you're sitting Campos in this situation, and then your left wing back is, like we said, Raheem Sterling. And by the way, Chad, we did talk about Pano playing Hazard out of position earlier. Pano apologized and said that we were saying that's a little weird, and maybe there was some mistakes made at the beginning of the match for the initial deployment. But back to what we were saying, man, I lost my train of thought.
The lineup for going forward in the midfield area and up top.
Oh, for sure. So, yeah, it's got to be Frankowski probably on that right back position. And that might solve the issue of where allowing Katai and Gaitan to both play, along with somewhere. Maybe the decision is Nikolic or Sapong. And then we also saw a tweet that said that maybe they're shopping Nikolic, which I would be concerned about.
That's possible. I'd be fine with it.
Really?
He's done nothing the past 2 games. And I think we should be looking for value, especially if Sapong's playing this well, and we have young players like Campos. I was about to mention Becerra, and then I remembered, we traded him. Whatever. But we can get more attackers. Getting attackers is fairly easy if you think about it. Almost all of MLS has been able to find good attackers from South America, and even with us, we found some good attackers from Europe. Getting an attacker is easy. If we can get value out of Nico, that would be great to me. But then on the other hand, you got to think of the human side. He loves it here in Chicago. I don't know if he'd want to leave, but he hasn't done much. And I know I said this at the beginning of the 2017 season when he wasn't scoring that many goals. And I said, maybe we should bench him. And at that time, it was, he was getting offside a lot. He didn't seem like he was really finishing off attacks very much. Right now, he's just invisible. It's not even that he's offsides, that he's not in position, that he's not scoring. He is invisible. I have not thought about it.
Is that Pano's fault for not making him a more integral part of the offense, or knowing how to get him involved in the offense?
I think that he is placed at the tip of the spear of the attack. And if he is not scoring in that position, if he is invisible where he is supposed to be most visible, I don't know what to do with this.
Well, think about the tip of the spear attack too. And Nikolic, we'll just go through a little of his weaknesses. He's not the strongest. He's not the fastest. He's not the most technical. He's not the greatest dribbler. He's not the greatest passer. But his strengths are he knows where to be when the ball's coming in, and he knows how to wrap his foot around it, and he knows how to finish. He's one of the best finishers in the world. He's absolutely one of the best finishers in the world. And
we haven't seen that.
But we haven't seen it, and we haven't seen the Fire been able to capitalize on it. And he's not the tallest. Now here's where Sapong is a little different. He is more strong. He's stronger. He's got mad hops. And he's I don't know, he's just a little bit of a different player. And when you're looking at the sharp edge of the spear, maybe Sapong is the better sharp edge of the spear than a Nikolic. And maybe that's what we're seeing. But here's the thing. I like all these players. I like all this talent on this team, and I don't want to be trading away any of these players. I think that they're all going to be needed throughout the season. And I also think it might only be a matter of time where Nikolic gets going, because we've seen this before. When Nikolic gets going, he gets going, and all of a sudden he's got 3, 4, 5 goals, and all of a sudden he's the MLS boot leader, and you didn't even realize it without a real attacking cam next to him. So hopefully Gaitan's the key to unlocking Nico going forward, but we got to definitely see something more coming from Nico. But there's time.
While we're on Nikolic here, I got to give my thoughts. I agree with Jiggly here.
Mm-hmm.
If we decide to shop him and he doesn't start finding form, I'm completely fine with it. Because I know it's early in the season. I know he just had a kid. A little bit of a life-changing event there, like last 2 weeks. But for game against Orlando, he missed 2 sitters.
Yeah.
2 that he would finish in his Golden Boot year every single time, 99 out of 100 times. Also, yesterday, he was non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
Non-existent. I don't think he had a single shot on frame.
No, he did.
He barely had any touches on the ball. And I encourage everybody who's at the game or watching on TV to, especially with the Seattle game, compare him to Rui Diaz of Seattle.
Good
Ruiz
gosh.
Diaz is so dynamic on the ball. He had so many little dangerous runs.
He's scary. Nico's not scary.
What's that?
He's not scary right now. He used to be scary.
Nico's not scary right now.
No, he's not. And he just looks. I know he's trying to find his form, and I'm really hoping he does, because Sapong has started the season well, but I can't see him scoring 10-plus goals on the year. And as of right now, I can't see Nico hitting 15. But like you said, I hope Gaitan can unlock him a little bit. And he is strictly a poacher.
Yes, I think that this is a comment here from Jorge. Is Nico genuinely out of form, or does he just not have enough service, or is it both? It's a little bit of both. It's just
It can be both.
It can be both. It can be two things, and I think it is both, because he hasn't been getting the service, so he hasn't been getting the practice in a way. I mean, yeah, he's getting the practice, but you need to be getting those in game. Agreed that we have to see more from Nico. He's a Golden Boot winner. He has to be leader. But you guys are right still early on. So let's get back to here. So we're about the 34th minute here, and the Fire just changed to the three-man back line. And I really liked what I saw. I wrote down, I like what I see. Basti's more involved coming out of the back, and the Fire were better able to and stifle Seattle, and were able to do what they wanted to do basically for the rest of those minutes till the end of the first half there. And then Raheem flies forward, is creating chances for himself. I'm seeing a lot more good stuff from the Fire from the end of that second quarter there, the 25 to 45.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the D's actually starting to settle down too in the 3-5-2. I thought they made Seattle's offensive quiet, and then the Seattle D was just basically trying to hold off the Fire there for a little bit, and there's a couple of decent chances. So
I have my lineup drawn up, so when we get to some other point.
All right, we'll tear through halftime. So it would have been better to go into halftime 2-1, but it wasn't. We were down 2-0 from the Seattle having that early lead. But Pano commented, the Fire stopped the bleeding. I totally agree. The Fire were knocking on the door. The best sequence came right before they switched into the 3-5-2. That was the most dangerous sequence. But that said, 3-5-2 is probably the way forward, especially if Gaitan's coming into the team, and he is. Players seem to be settling into their most dangerous positions. It looked raw, but I liked what I was seeing from a lot of things. Frankowski had a couple misses, but also so many times where he just was so dangerous. He really likes those low crosses. And I wrote down one good counter by Seattle, though, and it's over. And we saw that. We saw that later. So Hasler had a few poor decisions and got beat a few times. He wasn't horrible, but was just bad enough that he had to be replaced. Usted had a huge save in that first minute and 30 seconds, and a couple other decent saves later. The Seabees were bad to start the game, too wide, like they had been playing in a 3-5-2 in practice all week, and then they'd been asked to play in a four-man back line in the game. So that first 25, 30 minutes, they were a little raw. And then the 3-5-2 switch, they looked a lot calmer, a lot better. Still shaky, but better. Looks like, here's the thing, it looks like it can improve. It doesn't look like it's degrading. Campos, I wrote middling, similar to Hasler, similar returns to Hasler. Yeah, he can go forward, but outside backs, Paul Tenorio said this, that's our weakest position, and absolutely we're seeing that. And especially if we're playing in a four-man back line. It's almost like out of necessity, you have to play in the three-man back line to limit your weaknesses there. Frankie, wow. I'm sorry I'm talking so much here, boys. Frankie Wu, dangerous. This is the halftime thoughts. Frankie was very dangerous, had flashes of just utter dominance. Basti started to slow down and improved, and started to slow down his game and improved from what I saw. I meant slow down in like a positive way. Georgie had a flash or two, but fell down a lot. And I wrote down that Nico, Sapong showing up at least with a shot each here in the first half. And Raheem was much better going forward on that Hazard. And now we're into the third quarter.
Yeah, going into this third quarter here, it was definitely good to see them come out in the 3-5-2. I think they needed to, given how the first half went.
Brant Bronico comes in?
Yeah, Brant Bronico, comes in at the half.
I don't know if he really changed much.
No, I don't think he did either. I mean...
Well, it made Frankowski go to right back.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad move.
Because Campos came out.
Push out there, so I guess it did make sense. But he definitely didn't provide a whole lot in the second half. But, we gave up the penalty. Was that 3 minutes into the second half there? and it has to be exposed again that Nikolic getting the ball cut under his feet there leads to, I think that was Rodriguez for Seattle, walking around Schweinsteiger and Marcelo, and just horrendous defending on the penalty.
Oh God!
Horrible.
I was watching that and I didn't know that it was a penalty yet because I thought it was just outside the box. I saw Basti just go down into a kick pose, and
it was ridiculous.
Like,
and
I don't know
walks right around Marcelo, and Marcelo just kind of sticks a leg out, just lazy defense.
Yeah, he stomps his foot.
Yeah. Well, even before that, guys, right at the beginning of the half, right again, Seattle is so dangerous in these first 2 minutes. Ruidi has bobbled a shot on the doorstep right before this penalty even happened. So it could have already been 3-0 at that point. And then it could have been 4-0 on top of a penalty 5 minutes later. The first 5 minutes of these games, the Fire, well, especially against Seattle, which is possibly the most dangerous opening. They might have the most dangerous opening attack in the league right now, like we said earlier. But then comes Marcelo with a terrible foul after Basti gets beat, and then a weird Lodero penalty where he kicks it off the upright. Usted's kind of fell back in the net trying to save it. Usted, and then Lodero crashes the net and heads it in. And boom.
I remember because I thought that there was something like, I thought I saw like the assistance flag goes up or something like that. Someone was, it looked like they were calling it back, but nope. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with it now that I'm watching it.
So right.
But back to defending. I mean, I liked Marcelo in the first 2 games. I thought he was solid. I thought he did a really good job of neutralizing Zlatan in the first game. Did pretty well against Orlando. I thought the goal Orlando scored was probably more of Kapelhoff's fault. But yesterday, he just looked lazy, gave a lot of passes away, really lazy defending on the penalty, and we just need more out of him going forward, especially with how weak we are at the back.
I saw some good passes from Marcelo, where he connected to the left side and to the right side, where these were these huge long balls.
Yeah, he hits very good long balls.
So I saw some good stuff there. I really like that aspect. And right
he's
here,
a good ball playing defender.
And right here's where I'm writing. It's about the 50th minute mark, and we're down 3-0. I saw promising aspects of our play in the 3-5-2. So I'm like, but I feel like we lost this game at the start. And I'm writing right here, kind of feel like Pano is to blame for losing this game at the start. But your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, exactly. It was all on him for not starting with a good lineup. I mean, I don't know what we could have done exactly better other than starting Edwards. Raheem Edwards, it was the biggest game changer. He came in when he scored his goal. We're going to get to it when we get to, I think, that would probably be fourth quarter?
Coming soon.
With what we're doing?
Yeah, that'll be fourth quarter.
Okay. But when Raheem Edwards came in
or
and
third
he
quarter.
scored, I said that it was basically it was a goal between 2 of the only players that I saw out there who were trying, who were giving everything. And I mean, I was said, of course, giving everything, but he's not able to do too much from back there. And I thought that Edwards changed the game a whole lot because they moved into a better formation, to a formation that allowed us to not have our weaknesses pointed out.
Well,
I think you were saying that playing with a 4-man backline shows off our weakness at fullback.
And here's the problem I saw with that. I'm sorry to interrupt, but in the first 25 minutes of the game, there was a moment where Campos was the one crossing it, and then all of a sudden, Hasler was the one who had the ball and was putting the shot on net. And in a 4-man back line, that's really worrying. But in a 3-man back line with wing backs, that makes a lot more sense. That's what you want. And so I think that's what I'm saying there. So anyway, but your it is the third quarter that the Fire score. That's when Sapong settles down a pass from Frankowski and is able to cross it across the net to just a marauding Raheem Edwards who just power heads into the back of the goal. And from Dan Kelly, it's a start.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching it and I kept seeing Sapong on the corner of the box. I think there was a play just before it where almost the same exact thing happened. And there was a play right like very soon afterwards, where that's almost the same exact thing happened,
Mm.
where it's Sapong keeping the ball in on that byline right at the edge of the box on the right corner and sending it across. And there were multiple times afterwards where there was a good chance to score.
Yeah.
So we are doing some things right, and especially at that moment where we have someone able to come into the box, it works. It just worked.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes back to my whole thing of like, I don't know why exactly we're not winning games when we have the players who can do it. And at some point, it might just come down to tactics. We're not exactly playing in a way that's conducive to how our players are able to play.
And they showed incredible resiliency to just not quit. Definitely.
And I think that there's something to be said with the fact that we held more possession than Seattle, and there were points in the game. There were points in the game early on when we were losing and we were holding so much more possession, but we were not getting on the attacking end.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's a problem there, and we're doing exactly what I say that we shouldn't be doing, which is we were trying to pull and not stab. We need to get into the box, and there are moments in the game where I'm watching. I've seen this before with Gaitan, but this game I saw it with almost everyone, where we did not want to go into the box. We didn't want to go in. We wanted to cross it in. When there's an opening, you cut into it. There's no thinking behind it. You need to just go in and get the shot off. We got so many shots off, but none of them were from like good positions. Most of our shots were from outside the box. We had some shots inside the box, and those came mostly later on in the game when we were actually performing better.
Yeah, I'd say definitely in that third quarter of the game there. I mean, on Edwards' goal, he played that position once he came on exactly how it's supposed to be played.
Mm-hmm.
Like we said earlier, with the 5-back system, he can afford to push that high up the field to score, and because we've got enough support at the back with the three center backs back there, and definitely man of the match in my opinion.
Yep.
By a landslide. But if we do play that 3-5-2 system, he can do that all day long, granted that he's fit. And I think that's very dangerous going forward. And we go back to the possession that we said we had. We did have a lot of possession a lot of the game. And I think the Fire posted how the match stats, and it said we had 25 shots. I don't think we had 25 shots. I don't know what they were.
We had 25 shots. We had 8 of them blocked.
Yeah, we had a lot of
there was a
blocks.
lot of blocks there, right there in the middle, like kind of the middle of the end of the game.
I think it also needs to be said that Stephen Fry made, you could argue, 3 or 4 really big saves.
Mm-hmm.
1 or 2 in each half, I would say. A big save on Frankowski in the first half that I could think of.
Huge shot. That was awesome. A left footer.
He had a double save where Sapong just kind of just hit him in the head on the rebound.
Oh, that was a chance. That was the chance.
But they have had good chances, but at the end of the day, you got to solidify the back line. You cannot give up 2+ goals every game and have us need to score 3 to win. It's just not going to make us a playoff team. So, yeah.
If you've already, here's the biggest issue too that we mentioned it, but we didn't really cover it. Pano's already dug into 2 subs before they started the second half. Right at the start of the second half is when Brad Bronico comes in. That's the second sub used, and it wasn't even, both subs were not used for injuries. Both were used to correct mistakes that he had made maybe at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, there were mistakes he had made.
So that's something to be counted for too. But maybe he did recognize them. But the fact is, we're going on year 4 of this of him, and I feel like he's graduated MLS college. He should be, maybe a little bit more a better MLS coach at this point. But what do you guys think?
I want to talk about. If we're talking about this, then I do want to get into him apologizing to Hassler after the game.
Oh, well, okay. So, we're still in the third quarter here. Do you want to start it now?
Yeah, I think that.
Screw it. Go for it.
The conversation's gotten to that point.
Yeah.
Where I think that
dig in
with the way that we played, with the way that he has had us play, the fact that he apologized, which is a good coach. That means that he recognizes what he's done wrong, and he says that it's on him, not on the player. he's taking responsibility. The bad part is the fact that he had to apologize. That's the bad part, where I don't know, he shouldn't have done it in the first place. And we've seen it happen so many times where he plays himself out of the game. When you have a coach playing himself out of the game, that's bad news. And he's overthinking everything. He's trying to do too much, and sometimes he doesn't think enough about what he's doing. Like with this, where he starts Hassler over Edwards, when he could easily just say, we can take out Edwards when he's feeling tired, when he says that he is not able to go any further. But I just don't know what to do with it, because I think that maybe Pauno's kind of seeing he's not sticking around for a while, for much longer. And I don't know. I think that he should be fired soon. And I think he knows that he should be fired soon. And I don't know if Nelson knows that he should be fired soon. That's the problem.
Yeah, I'll give my 2 cents on that. I like Pauno. I mean, he's had totally different personnel each year, but going back to the Hassler-Edwards decision and the personnel he has at the back and whatnot, that is something he needs to figure out in preseason. That is what preseason is for, and he has no excuse to make those tactical errors once the season starts. He's had, a month, 2.5 months?
He's had 3 seasons.
Get that figured out. And I agree. If he doesn't get things turned around in the next 3 or 4 weeks or so, I think it needs to be had a conversation about letting him go.
But then where does that leave the Fire going forward? Can they recover with a better coach? Or I feel like the talent's there.
I'm consistently saying C.J. Brown. We need to bring him in. He is a former player. He's going to be good he would be good for the Fire in so many different ways. He's been learning under Jesse Marsh and Chris Armas over with NYRB. He used to be an assistant coach here. He was an assistant coach for Jason Christ for however many years. He can come in, and I think that coming in straight from NYRB, perfect for him to implement a 5-man backline. We have the personnel for it.
Jiggly, we should get him on the podcast. I know you said we should be able to get him.
We need to try. I know some people, and I did talk to him about possibly getting him onto a podcast.
That'd be cool.
I definitely would like to try to see if we can get him over here to at least talk about the good old days.
Definitely.
And I just don't know. I think he should be the guy coming in. There's been suggestions of other people, whatever. Some people making jokes about, we could bring in Jose Mourinho, whatever. But I think that right now, if we want a realistic person who is going to help activating, bringing back old fans, that sort of thing, there's so much more to bringing in a new coach than just having somebody who's going to help us win. I want somebody who's going to help bring this team back to this sort of big thing that it was before. The tradition part, tradition, honor, and passion, And
yeah, that's a great point. Definitely, I think it has to be noted how many former Fire players and staff are on to bigger and better things right now, either around the league or in Europe. I mean, you got Chris Armas at the Red Bulls. Marsh is overseas now. Brown is underneath Armas there at the Red Bulls. We've got John in the GM at
Curtin with Philly.
What about Thornton over in LA?
Yeah. Bocanegra is in Atlanta. And
Winalda should be here, but he's over in Vegas.
Yeah.
By the way, we spoke with Daniel Workman on one of our past podcasts, and in the first few minutes you can take a look, but he's buddies with Winalda. He helped run Winalda's campaign, and he said Winalda would love to become coach of the Chicago Fire.
I believe it.
You heard it here again.
He said that
Winalda is interested.
He would definitely show up.
But the question is ownership and management interested in a player and a guy like Winalda? And I think Winalda would.
Winalda would not want to play underneath Nelson. He would not want to play underneath. Coach underneath Hauptmann.
I think Winalda might put a few butts in the seats.
People that are here right now.
I think Winalda would put a few butts in the seats. And another issue I think I want to get into. Because we still have yet to cover the fourth quarter, and I'll talk about it just briefly. I heard about on the radio. Fred and Murph, they were talking about the other day. Well, Fred wasn't on; he was off probably at the Sounders game. But Murph was talking about it on ESPN 1000. Friendly prices. How Atlanta United has done it. How San Antonio FC has done it down in USL. How Minnesota Twins have done it in MLB, and how no Chicago pro sports team has done so. And I was looking at the 4,000, 5,000 people that were in the stands for the Chicago Fire on the weekend, and I was like, why aren't they jumping on this and marketing that they're the first pro? They have an opportunity here.
Here's why. Because it's cost effective to have fan-friendly prices.
It makes money.
When you have a bunch of people in the stands, that's when it's good.
Oh.
When you have no one there, it's a horrible idea.
There you go. Because now they got to sell 2,000 hot dogs to make the same as selling 1,000 hot dogs to the 5,000 people that are only there.
Exactly.
But the 5,000 people there might buy 2 hot dogs. That's what they don't realize. And I don't know. Of course, we're not economics majors, but there's bigger clubs that I don't know maybe, but there's bigger clubs and there's clubs out there that are making these moves and they're ahead of the paradigm. They're ahead of the paradigm shift. They're on the cutting edge. And Chicago Fire are not on the cutting edge. They are the total opposite of the cutting edge, and that's why we found ourselves where we're at with this club. All right, should we cover fourth quarter?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, guys. We're spitting fire here right now. Anyway, fired up footballers. So 71st minute to the end, we saw some flashes of fire kind of causing damage. Romain Torres comes in for Nicolas Ladero. Harry Shipp makes an appearance, which is cool.
I want to say just a quick thing about Romain Torres.
Mm-hmm.
He had so many mess ups during that. He played in the freaking World Cup last year, and he looked terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to mention one quick moment about the moment that I fell in love with Raheem Edwards. I already liked him before. This is a moment where it's like, I know he's amazing, and I want to keep him.
Mm-hmm.
There's a ball in the box. There's a bit of a scrum. It's like all loose. And Raheem Edwards knows he's not going to get to the ball exactly to score. So he just runs in and puts a full body check on Romain Torres.
Yeah.
Like in the air, just body check. There's no other way to describe it.
I think him and Sapong were both causing chaos there.
Yeah, he would have gotten a suspension in the NHL if he did it there. That was just a full body check. No reason why. Nothing was called, and I love it.
Another player that definitely deserves a shout out is Herbers. He came out there and was one heck of a player for a reserve player. I really like what he brings coming off that bench, and he scored a goal. And he also drew a foul. He scored a goal. Herbers did a lot when he came out there. I really liked what I saw from him. What do you guys think?
I do like Herbers. I like what he's provided in the last couple games that he's come into against Orlando as well. You know, I mean, this kind of goes back to the Nikolic thing we talked about earlier, but Herbers made more runs off the ball in the short time that he was in than Nikolic did in maybe the 60 minutes that he played. And I think that's worth noting, and I think that's why he got himself into such a good position to score the goal. And Nikolic just wasn't putting himself in those positions like we're used to seeing. I do think Herbers will always be a bench player for us, but he definitely is good off the bench. I like what he provides going forward.
Interesting to note, he's outscored Nikolic in preseason and is outscoring Nikolic right now in season. Same with Sapong, who's outscoring Nikolic in season, because we didn't have him really in preseason. But interesting to note.
I love both of the players that we got from Philly. I remember when we got Herbers, I don't remember what exactly we traded for him. It was probably just some weird amount of gam-tam. But we traded for him, and I think I was one of the only people excited about it.
No, I liked it too. Yeah, I thought it was a good pickup.
Yeah, it was a good pickup.
He's an attacking midfielder. He's not a striker. He's not a forward exactly in the terms that Nikolic is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
But he is an attacking midfielder. He can play on the wing. He can play at the 10 spot, not well, but he can play like shadow striker, how we've had at number 10 before.
Yeah.
I like him a lot, and I think that he definitely showed, I was about to say yesterday, that he's the guy to be our super sub. If Sapong's starting, then Herbers is our super sub.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think a lot of fans were skeptical because, I mean, he didn't have, like, these glamorous numbers by any means, but that's not what you're bringing him in for. You're bringing him in for that super sub position. And so far, he's shown to be a really valuable pickup. I had positive attitudes about the pickup. I thought it was a good pickup for reasonably. I think it was Gam Tam. Not too much sent to Philly for him. Definitely a good pickup by Nelson's part from within the league.
So here we're at the 78th, 77th minute, 77th, 78th, 79th minute, and I wrote Frankowski is beast moding on that right flank. Their Fires are showing life again, where I'm like, wow, they might be able to rescue a point. It's 3-1, and I wrote Raheem's man in the match at this point. He's just going nuts out there. He was just going nuts out there. Him and Frankowski, I thought Raheem's man of the match. Frankowski's maybe close second because as the match went on, wow, he just got more and more dangerous.
One of the there was this one play, I don't know, I think like a little bit afterwards we scored the other goal.
Yeah, so 83rd minute.
Where Raheem Edwards on the outside of the box, once again, my whole thing of we need to cut into the box and not stick around. But he is just holding possession. He is getting battered around.
Yeah.
And he is holding on to possession the entire time and then finally gets the foul at the end. And even then, he was still like technically on the ball, and he could have just like from the ground passed it off to someone.
So he drew the foul, and Georgie's on the free kick there. Georgie kicks it into the wall. Georgie had a couple kicks into the wall from his free kicks. He wasn't really on today as far as free kicks, but his corner kicks were really good. Sapong settles a deep, the Fire kick it out. It moves away. 2 minutes later, Sapong settles a deep ball. The Fire recover it, and then Herbers with like a second and a third effort to score a goal right there in the 83rd minute, and it's 3-2. So Fire all of a sudden. 7 minutes left. The Fire are looking like the better, stronger team, and they might have a chance here.
Yeah, I think that with the Fire, let's see. I have to go back over here. I was looking at the Herbers goal, but I had the Fire's match ratings pulled up on WhoScored.com, and from the 1st to the 34th minute. 35th minute is when we subbed on Edwards and moved into our new positions. From the first minute to the 34th minute, the Fire had a 6.06 rating and Seattle has a 6.76 rating. Ooh. Now if I go, let's see, I got to slide it all around again, but from the 35th minute to the final whistle, the Fire have a 6.5 rating, Seattle has a 6.39 rating.
They were the better team.
We were a much better team after we switched to that formation. It's just very simple to look at. And if I move the slider even further throughout the game, towards the end of the game, we are still ahead of them in every single step.
And that's where it comes in, that one counterattack that and it comes about 4 minutes later in the 88th minute. Frankowski loves to make those low crosses. And then all of a sudden it's going the other way, and Ruidiaz just finishes the game on just some sloppy defensive play. A really good counterattack, but some sloppy defensive play.
That's because we're going all out attack.
Because we're going all out attack. Yeah, you can't fault them for that. They're trying to rescue the point. Not sure. Let's see. What did I write here? Oh, so I wrote on the goal, was it Basti missing the ball or a tackle, or was it Osted not coming out soon enough?
Oh,
Klopas was talking about it.
Osted made it out in time. I'm watching this right now. Mm-hmm. Osted made it out in time, and he missed a kick. He could have cleared it out, and he missed it.
Mm.
I think the play starts with Frankowski swings in that cross. It gets cleared away, and then it comes back to Marcelo at about the halfway line, and he misses a pass. It gets intercepted right by one of the Seattle attackers, and it slid into Ruidiaz there. I would argue Osted should stay on his line. They still may score the goal, but at least he makes it more difficult for Ruidiaz there, and he still has to get beat with the shot. And I don't know if Schweinsteiger recovers and is able to get to that ball if Osted stays on his line, but bad giveaway by Marcelo, really easy giveaway too, and it leads to that goal. But then again, they showed fight to come back to make it 3-2, so I still think that's a good sign going forward.
And you guys said it. Do you see Nikolic scoring that type of goal that Ruidiaz does right there?
Yeah.
I feel like he could, but he's out of form right now.
Yeah. The way he's playing. But
yeah. I feel like he could.
He should be scoring that goal.
Yeah, I see him putting himself in that position to have that opportunity. So, yeah.
So hopefully maybe we can get some better things coming out of Nikolic going forward is what we're saying. There's definitely the promise there. We know what kind of player he is. We just got to see it again.
I think at the end of the day, this is encouraging, but to a point.
Yes.
I think that it's encouraging to me that we have things that we can do better, but I don't know if Pauno's going to let them do it better. That's where it's encouraging to a point. I think that we have the personnel. There is a tactic out there for us that can work and that we can win with, and we are not playing with it.
Yeah.
And at that point, it may just be the coach.
That's the point.
Within these next 2 weeks before they play the Red Bulls, I think if they keep the squad they have right now and nobody else is brought in terms of defensive reinforcements in these next 2 weeks, they have to decide on a definitive formation going forward that they want to stick with the rest of the season, whether it be the 3-5-2 or stay with the 4-2-3-1 and maybe slot Edwards in there on the left side and then figure out the right side with either Campos or Hassler. But they need to decide on something definitive.
I think it's going to be Frankowski on that right wing back. I think that's going to allow you to keep Gaitan and Katai in by removing Frankowski from that equation. But what he offers you on that right flank, his athleticism, his crossing ability, his very intelligent play, and he's just so dangerous on some of these dribbles. He's starting to acclimate to MLS, and he's starting to tear it up. We got a really good player there, and that might allow us to maximize that talent is what I'm kind of thinking. Oh, but real quickly, 89th minute, Nuhu comes on. Shout out to Sam Stexel's favorite player. And then the game's basically over.
So there's something here. We're getting into tactics now, and
yeah.
I do have my tactical lineup. Do you have a whiteboard or anything?
I wish. No, that'd be awesome.
Okay. If you have like notes, like hold them up or something, because I have a formation here.
Sure.
That might work. So I have. Okay, we got the goalkeeper. Then we got we got two true center backs, and then one center back just a little bit above. Those two true center backs are, of course, Marcelo and
do you have something you can show me?
Okay, I'm going to try to, man.
Oh, man.
I got to try to, maybe screenshot this or something.
Yeah, maybe just screenshot this and attach it to the video or something. Or attach it to the tweet.
Send it to you. But basically, my idea here is that it's not exactly a 3-5-2.
Yeah.
It is more, I don't know what exactly to call it. It's a 5-2-2-1. Let's see. I'm gonna cut this out. Cool. I have Frankowski on the right wing back, Edwards on the left wing back, and
I have no idea.
That's the name. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna try to send it to you through Twitter. I've got Edwards on the left wing back, Frankowski on the right wing back.
Yeah, I like it.
And then we have, of course, in the center back, I have the one pushed up center back a bit, which is Basti.
I'm just going to guess that it's something like this.
Basti isn't a center back, but he can play just above it. He doesn't have the legs to play on the attacking side anymore, but he doesn't have the defensive ability to play on the defensive side anymore. I just sent it to you, by the way, on Twitter.
Kind of like the sweeper in between the lines to protect the back line, which I like. I like that a lot. I think that would be effective. We used to have Lubos Kubik there.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I was telling my dad about it and how maybe we should be putting him there, and he's like, Pauno doesn't seem like he can. Do you think we're really going to be smart enough to do that? And the fact that I'm able to come up with it, maybe Pauno could come up with it, or maybe we can yell at him enough that he's going to do it. Did you get it yet?
Yeah, I got it. I'm writing it out right now.
Okay, cool. So I've got on that left wing is Gaitan, on the right wing is Gatai, and up top, instead of Nico, I'm putting Sapong there. I'm expecting it would be a good idea to get rid of Nico and try to get some value and use that value to get a defender. Somebody was talking about, we were talking about it earlier this week, where if I'm playing this in like Football Manager or FIFA, I might just start getting rid of some of the attacking depth that we have, because it might be more effective to get more defensive help.
This is George. This is Jiggly's 3-5-2 with Basti as like a central stopper. Edwards, Frankowski. This is Dax. This is Georgie. Wings between Katai and Gaitan, and then he's Sapong up top. So
Yeah.
if you guys are looking at, sorry for the people who are listening.
Yeah, I think I tried to describe it well enough.
Yeah.
But it's really more. It's weird. It's a weird formation, and I don't think that we are specifically going to be able to control a game with it. We are meant to attack. There's not much for the middle, and I think that it's important to realize that we should be playing the counterattack. We are not holding possession in the back. We are holding possession up there.
Yeah, and that's what we want to see. We don't want to see what we saw last year in 2018, where it was more focused in the back, playing out of the back and playing while we're inside of their zone. It seemed like to be more so on the ball was along our back line. We want the ball with Frankowski. We want the ball with Katai. We want the ball on Gaitan's foot. And the most dangerous place is in the final third instead of far back. So yeah, that's what we want to see going forward. Let's kind of have our final thoughts on the game, and then let's do a little pregame for New York Red Bulls, which is coming up in 2 weeks on March 30th. Everybody get your final comments in. We're getting close to shutting down here. Comments and questions. So yeah, I thought that this is a game that you have to throw away. That you just throw away, move on, and know that you could have started off better and gotten a point out of it. But this is so early in the season, you got to set it and forget it, and then move on and concentrate on that, getting these next 2 weeks and going and winning at Red Bull. Or I think we're at home actually.
We're at home.
So yeah, winning against Red Bull at home. What do you guys think here for the final thoughts of Chicago versus Seattle Sounders?
Yeah, I think how you said it, almost like a throwaway game early in the season is a good way to handle it right now. But going back to what we said earlier, they need to pick a formation in these next 2 weeks going forward. And I think it has to be the 3-5-2.
I agree.
I like Jiggly's lineup for that. I don't have the visual in front of me, but what it sounds like with the Frankowski and Edwards on the outside, I like Gaitan and Georgie and Dax in the middle. And then for me, it is definitely Sapong up there right now. And maybe you just put Katai underneath him just to give him free roam of wherever he wants to go, because he has that creativity and the ability to score those wonder goals from just about anywhere. But did have some encouraging signs. I think a lot of it will come down to Pano's tactics from here on out in the next few weeks, and it's make or break for him right now. That's my final thoughts.
Great point. So Pano is on the hot seat, that's for sure. I mean, how many games? He's got an extension to the end of the season for 3 seasons. So is he feeling the pressure? Is Nelson going to give him more time because of how bad he kind of didn't help him last year? Does Pano get an extended leash because of that? These are factors.
My issue right now is that I don't know if he actually is on the hot seat. I don't know. I think most of what he's feeling isn't coming from upstairs. He's feeling it from the fans.
Yeah.
I think he thinks that he shouldn't be coach right now. I think he kind of feels that. I think he feels that from the fans that we are frustrated with the way he is coaching, but I don't think Nelson's going to let him go.
I don't think he will either, but if it's me, I give him 7 games at the most to turn this around.
7 more games right now, so he gets basically 10 games of this season, of a 34-game season.
Yeah, that was my absolute max that I give him. 7 additional games from today. And if he can't turn it around, they've thrown so many money and personnel into this season. They can't afford to have another season like last year. They can't.
The thing that I kind of agree with you. We are seeing progress with the Fire. We're not seeing regression, but the problem is the progress we feel like should have been so much more at this point. In year 4 of the project, in year 4 of Pano figuring out his tactics, in year 3 of having Basti and Dax basically on the same team. He's graduated MLS college, and he's got to put out his thesis, his grandmaster thesis. We got to see some progress here from Pano that we haven't seen enough of, and that's kind of our point. Like there's promising stuff here. There's frustration on the field. These guys want to win, and they're not quitting. So I'm seeing a lot of good stuff. and there's also clearly enough talent here to win this season that was not here last season. It was a bad loss. I hope it turns into fuel. Lots of good individual and team things I saw out there, along with some significant errors on both sides of the ball, coming from the coaches and maybe from the team themselves too, and also maybe stemming from some inherent roster issues that has caused these fluctuations, this experimentation from Pano. And maybe he's got to look at these first 5 games of the season as a extended preseason, and then finally start putting up results, because it's not a preseason. This is season. We need results. You can't set yourself behind the too far down here. You can't put a hole in your boat and just expect that you're going to make it to the end of the season after you've drilled 3 holes in your boat and you're still sinking. You got to patch those holes up, and you got to move forward, and you got to start floating and getting those results. And I don't know what it takes. We don't know what it takes, but the Fire, I think, are capable of it this season. So toss us a like, everybody, if you enjoyed the conversation here. Oh, we're not done yet. I wanted to cover real quickly New York Red Bulls. Who's the coach for the New York Red Bulls? Is it it's ex-Fire player? Chris Armas. He's coming into town.
The true captain. Kaku
still on the team, correct? Or did he get sold?
Apparently, there's something going on with them. Like Armas didn't play him the other day or something like that.
I thought he was upset because he wanted to get sold to Mexico and he didn't.
There's some sort of something like that behind the scenes, but he's definitely in the doghouse. I don't think he's started the last 2 games. I don't know if he's gotten minutes or not, but it'll be interesting to see how much he plays, if at all, against us in 2 weeks.
So with the New York Red Bulls, they're one of the better teams in the league. I'm just looking at their studly lineup here. They got Murillo as like a right back, really good. Aaron Long has just been this studly American who's come along from playing in New York Red Bull 2 and has just gotten better and better as time has gone along. He's one of the better center backs in the league. Right next to him, they got Tarek, and they also have Tim Parker available. So they have a couple of good options at center back. Really solid defensively, and they got this guy named, they got Kaku, who I mentioned, Davies, who was Adams' partner there for a little bit, Sean Davies, pretty solid midfielder, and of course they have Bradley Wright-Phillips, at Kamar Lawrence over at left back. Royer is a quality player, Daniel Royer. This guy named Ratstakowski, he's pretty solid too. They got a super solid team up and down, and the Fire are going to have a big challenge when it comes to getting anything against that New York Red Bull.
Yeah,
this is why we need a 5-man back line.
They have the best back line in the league, the Red Bulls, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the moment that I went crazy in the 2017 season when we went up against New York Red Bulls in that playoff game. I had seen previously throughout the season when we had played against New York Red Bulls, they held us back because they had an amazing 5-man back line that we were unable to. We were using a high-pressure system trying to pull them apart. We kind of had the personnel for it at that point. But that's not what you do against a 5-man back line. A 5-man back line is there to be the most structured thing. When the wingbacks go out, you still have extra people back there to cover for you. And I just don't think that we're going to be able to get past them if we use those same sort of tactics. And I don't want to see it happen again and again where we just do things wrong because of tactics. We have a team that can win. I think that it was against Seattle. We didn't exactly have a team that could win against Seattle because they had a really good wing play. We don't exactly have very much in terms of wide defense. But against the Red Bulls, we can do it. They don't exactly have the best wing play, and we can be in a position to stop them from doing anything on the wings. We can do it. It's just about if we're going to be doing it the right way, if we're going to be going about it in a way that helps us win. And I keep saying this, we have a team that if we put them in the right spots, we might have a chance at least at the U.S. Open Cup, maybe at the MLS Cup. We have a team that can win. We just aren't giving them a chance to.
Let's not forget, last season, Fire went to Red Bulls and got a 2-1 win. And at home, they lost to 1-0 second half of the season. But two of their better performances of the year last season, in a season that was very forgettable, was against the Red Bull. So they have shown up.
I think that Dax gets them up for the Red Bulls, I think. Hopefully.
Probably.
Got a couple questions here from the crowd. From Chad, we got, do we start Nico next match? I think if you could get him out there, yeah, you got to. It depends what's going on with Katai's injury, if he's actually going to be out another game or not. He didn't make the match day 18 because they wanted to protect him. There's enough talent here, too, that they can afford to do that with Herbers coming off the bench like that. So
I can say that we're going to start Nico, and we shouldn't be starting Nico, but we're going to.
I think you got to go forward with him. If you could get him, you got to get him going. You got to give him every chance. And once we reach maybe game 10 and he's still got zeros, then that's kind of when I think you reassess.
If it's me, he sits next game.
Yeah. I mean, you guys have the examples are there to show why. So we'll see it, but I definitely would prefer to have him out there. Let's see, Corrales, does he make an appearance coming back from his red card? I hope not.
No, he doesn't. If we have Raheem Edwards, and if Raheem Edwards is good for next week, if we see Corrales,
2 weeks. So they got 2 weeks to heal up.
Angry.
They got 2 weeks to heal up, so hopefully Raheem is ready to go.
It's gotta be Edwards for me.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Do we see any other changes? Do we see Brant Bronico get a start?
No.
Do we kind of see the same starting 11 that we've seen tried it out here? But with what you say, Raheem and maybe Frankowski replacing the outside wingbacks?
I think that we're going to see similar lineups. I don't think Pano's going to be smart enough to go for something new and different, even though he's known for, not having the same tactics from game to game. He's very consistent in how he wants to play, and this isn't a team. He's got a team built around him that is not for him, and I think he's struggling with that right now.
Yeah, I think it'll be relatively the same lineup. We may see the way we finish the game, minus Bronico and Herbers, to be the way we start the next game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great points there. Chicago Fire Talk. Let's see. Last question from Chad. Any rumors on bringing any more players in? Supposedly, we mentioned last podcast, the center back fizzled, but it might still be on.
No,
Nelson's gone. There's really not much going on that we've heard about as far as rumors go.
I remember Marty mentioned Jonathan Bornstein, but I heard that he signed somewhere in Scotland.
I heard that Spectre signed in Scotland with Hibernian.
Oh, Spectre. Okay, I'm thinking of two different people then.
Okay, no, but I mean close either way. They seem because they both went to England. But Bornstein would still be hopefully a decent pickup to help the left back. But if we're playing this wingback system, I want Raheem out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If we're getting Spectre, we're gonna hope that maybe you can play center back.
Yeah.
But right now, I don't know if I want to get any more players. If we can,
we need a defender.
An American center back.
You can't depend on Lillard. Maybe. Well, maybe you can. You do want the kid to play.
I want an American center back. If we can find one who's cheap, and you know what? Maybe try to find a way to trade away. Find a way to trade away Nico for an American center back.
Interesting thought there. You know who's made the match day 18 the last game? That New York Red Bull 2 player.
Oh yeah, Moreno.
Moreno.
He's a real short dude.
Yeah, but he did make the match day 18, so that was interesting.
He can play in attack. He can play in the attacking midfield.
Yeah, I just thought that was a little interesting shout out. All right, lads. Do you expect us to beat Red Bull at home after seeing what we've seen? I feel like the best we can hope for right now is a tie, but.
As I keep saying, we can. It's all about if Pauno knows that we can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I second that. If the tactics right, I think we have a chance.
Absolutely, I do think we have a chance. I agree there. Now, when it comes to Gaitan, I've had some couple of different things said. It seems like it may be possible that he plays against Red Bull. It also seems like he might not play at all against Red Bull, and that he might be.
He's not going to.
Okay, so he's not going to. So April 6th or April 12th. Will potentially be his first game.
Possibly against Toronto.
So April 6th and April 12th will possibly be Gaitan's first few games, if you're hearing it here. And let's see, is there anything else in the news for Chicago Fire that we didn't cover?
Basti looks extremely frustrated. Some people were saying, like, oh, Basti looks a bit overweight, looks slow. I think he's just tired of everything. I think he's just done with it. And you can see that near the end of the games. He's not out there to win at the end of the game at this point for the Fire. He's out there to break legs. He's frustrated.
Oh man, there was a couple times in that first game where we saw that, or in the second game where Basti took a bit or just fouled the guy really hard and just walks away because he's just so angry.
And I think it's because he's frustrated.
Yeah.
He's being surrounded by this team that should, at this point, I think he's feeling the same thing that I am, where we should be winning. We're not. We're not doing anything. And I think he's feeling it, and he is extremely frustrated when he's seeing the other team just walking through us. And he's not able to do everything.
They're good enough to win.
Yeah, he hasn't looked his normal self on either side of the ball.
And I think he's just done. I don't think he's done specifically because of his ability. I think he's done because mentally he's kind of just checked out. And that's real sad to say. And I can see a starting lineup for this team that has none of our DPs out there. None of our 3 DPs. We can have a starting lineup that can win with none of our DPs.
No, Katai's our best DP.
I can see us starting without Katai.
Who do you think's our best DP? I think it's Katai.
Right now, our best DP is Katai, but I can still say that we can win with a starting lineup without any of our DPs.
And I got another question for you about Basti. I mean, if the season does go if it does really sour in these next 5 games, if the Fire are still struggling to get their first, maybe even second win once we reach 10 games in, and Pano is super on the hot seat.
He's going to be announcing his retirement.
Yeah, that's my question. Do we see Basti pull out mid-season? What do we see?
I don't know if he's going to pull out mid-season. He's somebody said this when I was talking about him being frustrated. He is a professional. He's going to do what is asked of him.
I think he cares. I think he absolutely cares.
He cares. It's just that he cares too much, I guess. He's seeing all of these problems, and I mean, maybe it's me projecting onto him or something, but it's just, he seems frustrated. And I don't think he's happy with how we're playing. He's happy with being in Chicago. He's not happy with Chicago.
Let's comment upon that real quick here because we're kind of closing up shop. But really, almost since the get-go, Dax and Basti, we saw their frustrations of dealing with having to deal with the Chicago Fire in a lot of different ways really early, and they've never gone away. And that is concerning. Think about the frustrations we've seen from some of the better players on this team, the leaders. And they've been exhibited since day one, and they haven't gone away. And that's concerning as far as, maybe looking at the future and building a culture.
We had rumors at the beginning of the season. We had rumors of Dax wanting a trade.
That was the end of last season, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not exactly unheard of that these 2 players who are our biggest leaders, they're not feeling it.
They're not feeling it here. Well, and why?
I think it may just be the coach at this point. It may just be Pano's lost in the locker room. He's not able to inspire these guys anymore.
Coach is definitely at play. I agree there, but I feel like it's a little more. What do you think, Chicago Fire?
It has to be more. It has to be more than that. But other people are like, oh, it's Heltman. He's the top of it. I don't. At this point, we've got so many new players. It's not even about the ownership not doing good enough. This is just something. It's something else. There is an air in the locker room. Maybe we need to tear down the locker room and build a new locker room or something. There's just something wrong, and it can possibly be the coach, but that's just part of it. There's just something. There's something missing. There's no one in the stands either. That's another thing. There's no one in the stands, and the only way to bring people in the stands. People were talking about how, we've got we're out in Bridgeview. It's hard to get to Bridgeview. It's St. Patrick's Day weekend. If we had it on the north side, there'd be tons of people there. No, what matters in Chicago is winning. You don't get people at your games just because it's easy to get to. The United Center was empty for the Blackhawks before 2010.
Well, they also weren't on
before we got stuck in games.
TV. Old Man Wirtz had to die because they weren't on TV. They weren't really marketed. They weren't. Their presence wasn't in the Chicago. But once you saw Old Man Wirtz go, the governor got taken off the Blackhawks and they exploded. And you saw Chicago become the biggest hockey town in America.
But and I'm just saying, like, that's not. They started winning. That's the thing. They started winning.
They drew.
There's nobody there. In Chicago, it doesn't matter where you are in the Chicago area. If you're winning, you will get people there. Chicago Wolves games have great attendance.
Yeah, decent and middling attendance. They've
got great attendance for an AHL team. They've got great attendance for a minor league team.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly that, we're in a bad spot. They're going to try to fix that by sending us to the north side. It's not going to do anything if we don't have a good product on the field. That is what, and then we've got people who love the Fire who aren't going to games anymore because they've been kicked away by the Fire in terms of the way that we've treated our former players, the way that fans have been treated. It's just, there's all of these things going on that it's just turned into a pile of mush. Okay, there's just not much we can do right now, and there's definitely a lot that can be done, but I don't see us doing any of it.
No. Like I said, they could move on the cutting edge with getting behind fan-friendly prices. There's little tiny tweaks that they could make to get more involved in the community, to make soccer more marketable in the city of Chicago, to get these players interacting, to get with the greater public, to get the public to want to come to games. That they're just missing it, and doesn't have to do with tearing down the Fire and starting something new. There are clubs out there that can figure this out, and the Fire are trying to hire those types of people to make it happen. And the thing about this is, it's not going to happen in a day. It's not going to happen yesterday or tomorrow. The Fire just started doing this stuff in the last year. They just started making the changes that seem to be necessary for future change. So it stinks, but it feels like we're in for some 2, 3, 4 years here of change to get to where we as fans are seeing the organization that we want to see, because we aren't seeing it, and we know it.
Yeah, real quick, guys, because I got to run.
Yeah.
But going off of that, I think it's really just a combination of things. I think it's on-field results. I think it's the atmosphere in the stadium. There's just not enough people there to really get motivated, those guys, game in, game out. I think it's ownership problems. I really don't think locker room has a lot to do with it. For the most part, they seem like they get along pretty well. But a lot of off-field things with ownership conflicts and the supporters group conflicts of last season. And I mean, I compare the Fire to other teams around the league. They got these nice training facilities. They go to a nice stadium for work every day. And we're just so behind with that. And I think that's frustrating for guys like Dax and Basti, who come from better organizations.
Prestigious.
They're used to the best.
Prestigious organizations.
Yes.
Absolutely. Great point there, Chicago Fire Soccer Talk. Dave, I got to say, thank you so much for hopping on with us. Follow Chicago Fire Soccer Talk on @ChicagoFire SOC1. And we'll have him attached to his information in the links and everything, so you'll be able to take a look at him. He's always got some great thoughts on the Chicago Fire. Thanks so much for taking the time to stop by and talk with us, man.
No problem. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, Jiggly, let's kind of shut her down here. I think we've kind of...
I think I had my rant, so...
Yeah. Well, that's what it's about. And Chicago Fire, the viewers, the audience, thanks for joining us. We got one more fun trade idea from Brandon. I don't know what the injury status is with Matarrita over at NYCFC, but him and Ben Sweat are two decent MLS left backs. And NYCFC is playing Maxi Morales at striker. Maybe a Nico for Ben Sweat swap so they could move Maxi Morales back.
Right now, I see that we can win with who we've got right now. We just have to do it the way that we need to do it. And yeah. I don't think we need to move anybody around right now. There's just so much that I think it's so frustrating being a fan and seeing all of these things happen and seeing nothing being done to the things that need to be done about.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. That's where we're at right now. And I felt like before the season started, where we're like, oh, we got all this wait and see stuff, and the wait
and
now we're seeing.
We're still waiting.
And now the waiting's gone, and now we're seeing, and it's concerning in aspects. But there's also, like we said, there's definitely some promising aspects. But are we going to see the efforts pay off soon enough that it's going to matter for this season? That's going to matter for the next season, for the long term. That's going to matter for Pano's career. That he'll be able to be looked at as a respectable MLS coach coming out of this.
I mean, I've learned with TV shows, when you watch a TV show, you give it 3 episodes before you say anything about it.
Geesh, 3 episodes of this season is not good for the Chicago Fire.
Yeah, we got 3 episodes of the Chicago Fire Soccer Club, and we do not like any of it. There's promise, but there needs to be change, and I don't think we're going to get that change anytime soon in the season. I don't think that Pano's going to be fired. I don't think we're going to, and if he is fired, I don't think we're going to get a coach that's going to be putting in the right system. I don't think we're going to get anything. And it's real sad to say that, but we have so much potential and we have nothing happening.
The potential is there, and so that's it's like kind of the thing we got to hang our hat of hope on. But other than that, yeah, as we Chicago Fire fans know, I mean, there's a lot of issues here, and we're doing our best to kind of shepherd this club onto bigger and greater heights. Everybody, thanks for joining us in the live chat. Everybody, if you have any other thoughts you want to add comment below, toss your comments below. We're always reading those. Follow us on Twitter. Follow Jiggly at Jiggly_333. We'll have his information, of course. He's one of our often special guest co-hosts over here on Spitting Fire YouTube. No Jeffrey today. He was busy, but we'll hopefully come. We might have a podcast coming this next weekend. We're not sure, but we'll absolutely have a post game for New York Red Bulls in 2 weeks. So we'll keep you guys updated there. Check us out on Stitcher and iTunes. We are available there if you want to download us and you're not able to use your data as much for watching YouTube and all that stuff. But be sure to toss us a like, subscribe for more Spitting Fire for when you want to join in for our live YouTube channels. We always love when we have a live audience to help bring it. It really adds a lot to the show. I don't know if you agree, Jiggly, but I love the interaction we have, and I really feel like they add a lot to the show.
Yeah, definitely. It's fun. It's fun having comments to work off of.
It's a lot of fun, and that's why we moved away from our kind of siloed isolation way where we filmed before and then we would post it, and now we're like, oh, the live stream is just so fun. So it's always fun interacting with you guys. Thanks for joining us. Toss us a like and all that jazz. Figure out ways if you want to follow us on the Twitter and the Stitcher and the iTunes if you want to make it easier to listen to. Go Fire! We'll have another game on March 30th versus New York Red Bulls. Doesn't sound like Nico Gaitan's going to be starting. You heard here, but probably April 6th and April 12th for that. So that's it, guys. Fire it up, footballers. Fire it down. Thanks for joining us on another Sunday or for another post-game analysis. And thank you, Jiggly.
Bye.
And thanks, Fire Soccer Talk for joining us too. Alrighty, boys and girls, we'll see you guys later. Fire down.